Good morning, good evening, good whatever you are, wherever you are. Welcome back to Occult Catalyst, Seekers of the Hidden Truths. It's Julian here, and today we're delving deep into the mystical realms of Enns and Sigils. These powerful tools are more than just symbols or chants. They are gateways to profound spiritual connections. If you're ready to explore how these tools can amplify your magical practices and connect you more deeply with the demonic realms, you're in the right place. Let's get started and unlock the secrets of what's behind these ancient methods. If you're not using Enns and Sigils already, it's something that you're going to be using a lot in the future here. So it's important that we get this basic foundational knowledge down now before we get into advanced techniques later. So I want to get all the basic knowledge out of the way early. So let's dive into it. What is an Enn? Enns are sacred chants used to invoke demons, but they're not merely words. They are vibrational keys that align your energy with the infernal. Each Enn is specific to a demon, tailored to its unique vibrational signature, which facilitates a clearer and more direct communication. Let's talk about why the structure of Enns is so critical. The peculiar phonetics of Enns are designed to resonate through the spiritual and physical realms, creating ripples that reach the entities we seek to invoke. The sounds in Enns may stimulate specific energy centers or chakras in the body, enhancing the practitioner's receptivity to spiritual energies. So for example of an Enn and what they sound like, the Enn of Clonic, the demon of wealth and commerce, is Es Na Aye Clonic. So they can be whispered like that in a harsh tone, or they can be said like Es Na Aye Clonic in a rhythmic and neutral tone that offers respect and clarity to the demon that you are confronting or entity, as Enns can be used for all types of deities, not just infernals. Sorry, lost my place. Expanding on their origins, Enns are often shrouded in secrecy. Their exact beginnings are unknown, but they are believed to be divinely inspired or received through esoteric revelations. Historically, Enns may have originated from ancient texts, recovered through archaeological findings, or passed orally from master to apprentice in closed magical orders. The main way that I've received Enns, aside from like outside research of like various grimoires and like S. Connolly's books, if you haven't looked into S. Connolly's book, the complete book of Demonolatry, I really recommend that. It's a great base for knowledge for demonolatry. There's a lot of Enns in there for various entities. But one of the more powerful ways that I've been able to work with Enns is asking an entity directly to create a personal significance Enn for me. And usually in their own language, they will design an Enn that I can have. I will not share those, unfortunately, as they're just deeply personal to me and my connection and bond with those entities. So I'm going to keep that sacred and revered and keep those to myself. However, I do think that I may come up with some that are channel specific that we can all use as a shared collective to work together with these entities and maybe have a shared bond with the collective of Occult Catalyst, and see where that takes us. Using Enns in rituals, step-by-step guide. Using Enns requires precision. Here's how to effectively integrate Enns into your invocations. 1. Set the intention. Clearly define your goal for the invocation. Intention is everything. I was talking to a friend the other day, and I wanted to say that intention is pretty much like the biggest part of anything that you're putting out there with magic or invocation or anything with spirit contact in general. You want to have a very clear and focused set intent, because what you set out in the beginning is what's going to come to fruition. So when you set out to invoke an entity, you want to make sure that you do so with respect and reverence, but also with a clear focus and intent on why you are contacting them in the first place. Vibrational alignment. Use the Enn to harmonize your energy with the entity. So begin to chant it, and then we sustain the chant. We maintain the chant to build and stabilize the connection. And after we continue to chant the Enn, just keep going with it until it feels right. If it feels like, okay, I'm tired of this, I want to stop, go ahead and take a break, then keep going. Or if you're listening to it, keep listening to it. The more you have the repetition, the more trance states you're going to experience, and the deeper the connection you're going to experience with that entity. 4 is listen. After the invocation, remain in a receptive state to receive any messages or signs. So this state is very important. This is when we just want to sit in silence and listen to our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, and any sensations that come in our body, whether these are physical, mental, or on a spiritual level. But we will start to decipher these messages that these entities are going to start pushing through until this starts to develop into thought transference, where these entities start to send thoughts into your own head in the guise of your own voice. However, they're foreign thoughts to you, and you recognize that I did not think that. However, it is a thought I recognize. So then shortly after that, as you continue to develop your relationship using Enns and invocation, you begin to hear a voice of the actual entity through clairaudience, where you begin to pick up on the true nature of the voice of the entity that you are working with, and that thought transference is no longer just in your own voice, where you question everything. It's now in a solidified voice of the entity. So that was a lot on Enns. If you have any questions or you have anything that you want me to go more in depth on, please let me know. As I said, S. Connolly's book, the complete, I think it's the complete guide on demonolatry, the complete book on demonolatry, is a great resource, and I really recommend that. It's a pretty thick book with a lot of information and a lot of reference and a few rituals and stuff like that in there, so that's really solid. But let's jump into the next thing I want to cover, which is another huge piece of this information, which is a sigil. And what is a sigil? A sigil is not just a symbol, it is a crafted icon that embodies a magical intention or the essence of a demonic entity. Creating a sigil involves condensing complex ideas or spirits into a singular focused emblem that serves as a focal point for magical work. The thumbnail that you can see is a sigil that I have created through electric mediums. I will say that creating a sigil by hand is a lot more powerful than creating it through an electric medium, such as like AI, or creating it through just graphic design programs and stuff like that. Creating it by hand has a lot more power behind it, and it's just an ancient form of magic that we've been doing for a long time called writing. So, but that sigil that you can see in the thumbnail is one that I created in the Austin Osman Spare method, which we'll talk about in a minute. But that sigil is to cause prosperity and abundance for everyone of this channel. So I said my channel viewers are prosperous and abundant. And it created that sigil from those letters at the beginning of those words while removing certain characters. Creating a sigil can be an art form. Here's a detailed process. 1. Design. Often begins with writing out an intention, then abstracting it into a symbol, such as through what's called the Austin Osman Spare method. So in the Austin Osman Spare method, you would write out your intention, such as the one for the sigil that I used today for this channel. My viewers are prosperous and abundant. What I would then do is I would remove all the repeating letters in that phrase. Okay? Then I would remove all the vowels. Then any repeating consonants. And what I'm left with is the remnants of that phrase in a minimized setting. So then what I do is I take those symbols and letters and stuff like that, and I connect them in a way that is more subconscious than conscious. I'm not really trying to design anything. I'm more just letting it flow onto paper. And you let that unfold into a symbol that speaks to you, that harnesses your intent and focus and becomes a magical symbol of that intent and focus and puts its power physically out into the world. Oh shit. Refinement. The design is refined until it feels visually and energetically complete. 3. Activation. This could involve charging the sigil with emotional, elemental, or psychic energy. The most common way that I charge my sigils is with a drop of blood. And this blood can be gathered with just a diabetic lancet, something that you just literally poke your finger with, draw the smallest drop of blood, put it on your paper, and you're done. It doesn't need to be anything extravagant, nothing that harms yourself, nothing, crazy or obscene, literally the most minuscule part of the practice. Finally, deployment. The sigil is used in ritual context, serving as a physical anchor for spiritual energies. When the sigil is to be released in the energy and intention released into the universe, we burn the sigil to free the contained energy and the will. By burning the sigil, we release all that energy and intention into our world and manifest our will. And free, basically the entity to go out and do what we set forth for it to do with our intention. Combining Enns and Sigils in rituals. Using Enns and Sigils together creates a synergy that enhances the effectiveness of both. The Enn vocally invokes the entity, while the Sigil visually and physically anchors the entity's energy in the ritual space. This combination creates a robust framework for any magical working. Practical applications and real-life examples. Let's consider some real-life applications. Many practitioners have reported deeper connections with their patrons, more vivid spiritual experiences, and tangible results in their magical workings after using Enns and Sigils. For instance, a practitioner might use a sigil of Baal in a ritual for courage and dominance, chanting the Enn to call forth Baal's presence and influence. I most often, when working with Lilith, for example, use a combination of her sigil and her Enn, Renich, Vyasa, Avaj, Lilith, Larash, to invoke her presence and to deepen the connection. This combination bridges the gap between a spiritual and mundane, allowing you to be a channel for the energy or the energy of other entities. Using Enns can be a powerful way to form a connection, enter a trance state, or cause a prolonged and profound focus. Listen to an Enn chant video or chant them even in your free time to deepen your bonds and connections. Thank you so much, guys, for spending this time with me on Occult Catalyst, diving deep into the realms of Enns and Sigils. Remember, these tools are powerful aids on your spiritual journey, providing paths to the greater understanding and control of the energies around us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more occult insights. Share your thoughts and experiences below, or connect with me on Instagram at lvxtarot or via email at occultcatalyst@gmail.com. Until next time, continue to explore, discover, and transform. Farewell, and may your path always be enlightened. Take care, my friends. Seek on.